This is a Headgum podcast.
Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Wayne.
I'm Jonathan.
And welcome to a show where we decided to just make shit up.
That's kind of what we do here. Oh, you just said that, didn't you?
Yeah. So
can we start over where I don't repeat what you said?
No.
Hi, that's Wayne.
Nope, and I'm Jonathan.
And we do a show that no one has ever attempted before.
Well,
it's a new art form that we've invented today.
Yes, as of today, we've invented improvisation.
Yes.
Now hear us out.
Yeah.
This show that you're going to listen to has never been done, which is the quantum truth.
It is a quantum
The
truth.
show has never been done, but it's also been done in many other ways.
I see what you're saying, and I don't see what you're saying, and the cat is both alive and dead. On music, Branson Nijam.
Hey, Branson. Yeah, so this is What If. We invite our friends and people that we think are absolutely fascinating, and let's just have a talk with them because improvisation is a conversation, and that's what we're going to do.
Yes, I'm super excited about our guest today because, well, D&D is one of the coolest things ever, and he is one of the coolest D&D people ever here today. I'm very excited. What if our guest was Brennan Lee Mulligan?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor and a pleasure. And what a bizarre thing to say. What could young me have known the future held? For someone to say full-throated, unequivocally, D&D is the coolest thing ever.
Not only that, but like you started as a kid, right? You were 9 or 10 or something like that?
Yeah, 10 years old, yeah.
So if you could go back in time and tell yourself, not only will you make a shit ton of money playing this game, but you will sell out Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl playing this game?
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable to even think. I remember like a couple of years ago, my mom in an encouraging way was like, all these skills you've learned playing Dungeons and Dragons, you'll be able to translate that into whatever you end up doing. And it's like, no translation required. This is the skill set.
But just in case.
Just in case.
You could be a doctor. You could roll to be a type of doctor.
Roll to be a type of doctor. These problem-solving skills you're using to get through this dungeon can help you as an actuary, can help you as whatever you end up doing.
Just like Jonathan, I am floored. I'm just floored. And before we started taping, you were just getting ready to tell us about playing the Hollywood Bowl. Now, humble brag, I've played the Hollywood Bowl more than a few times now, but always in big musicals or I was there in concert.
Yeah.
I know what it looks like to do that in a musical sense.
Yeah.
You sold out the Hollywood Bowl playing D&D.
Well, so we sold out Madison Square Garden back in January. That was
brag.
Yes. I appreciate it. It was great. So when we announced that, it was the first show we'd done in the US since before the pandemic. And it was wild. We had no, that selling out the Garden was it was bizarre. I'm from New York, and so I was on my way to Times Square to go be under our billboard and like jump on Instagram Live and hawk tickets like I was selling CDs on the corner. Like, please God, come buy tickets to the show. And we pop out of the subway and we have the text like abort, no need, don't this. If you go on live right now, this will not be selling tickets. This will be like a victory lap. So don't do it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll stop. It was, and then I just met my dad in Times Square where I'd walked through a million times as a kid and looked up at a billboard of the seven of us, of me and the Intrepid Heroes, our amazing cast, and just dissociated for a good 45 minutes. This is like, this doesn't make any sense. They're letting us do this. We were so fortunate to be able to play at the Hollywood Bowl. We had a great crowd there, and you've performed there many times. It was staggering in a different way because we played in the round at Madison Square Garden, and bizarrely, they're very similar sizes, but at Madison Square Garden, because it's in the round and there's all these balconies and levels, they get everybody right on top of you.
Right.
The Hollywood Bowl just stretches out.
Space.
It's like it was all like vertigo looking up at the people way up in the top seats. It was like it was crazy. It was a staggering experience, very, very very fortunate to do it. And yeah, it feels like getting away with something. I mean, playing D&D live for these crowds, it's a gift. And for everyone that came out to see the show, thank you so much.
And there will be more, I'm sure, shows.
We're playing Seattle Climate Pledge Arena in July, and we're playing the MGM Grand in Vegas in November.
Amazing.
Really wild.
Wow.
There's also a component,
Vegas.
though, of like, so you started playing D&D young, but then you did lots of improv too. And so those are the perfect match. I mean, they come together so perfectly. When I play, it's with a bunch of improvisers. So it just...
Except me, because he doesn't invite me to
That's
play.
not true. We're in the middle of a campaign.
That's brutal. Well, to be clear, you haven't invited me to come do any live musical shows. So, that street goes both ways. That street goes both ways.
If you want to, you have the open invitation.
Let me take a quick 10 years of singing lessons, and then I'll jump in.
Right, just jump right back.
And I'll jump right back in.
Funny you should say that, because all of our guests get their own theme song.
Yes, they do.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your own personalized theme song right now.
Brennan Lee Mulligan. Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Who?
Brennan Lee Mulligan.
That's what I'm talking about.
Brennan Lee Mulligan.
He has a very particular set of skills that can be transferred to some other occupation, but he won't.
Can that just be the song? No, keep it going, keep it going, keep it
Because his
going.
mom.
Brennan Lee Mulligan, listen to me because he's the boss at the D&D. He likes all the black people, all of them, because his initials are BLM. That's right. He's got lots of plenty. Roll that dice, you know it's a D20. Come on, la-di-da-di. If you die in the game, gotta roll the body.
Life is like a game of D&D, it was said to me.
What?
All you gotta do is just roll it up on your character sheet.
What?
You can't face life with temerity, you gotta be fast on your legs with that dexterity.
Yeah.
And if you do something bad, that is that. Oh shit, a check for traps. Sometimes life has traps that'll get your soul. All you gotta do is get the right roll. And if you really want to get the party started, no, literally, you need to get the party started. You and your friends pay dividends, and hopefully the campaign never ends. The campaign is merely life, and who you rolling with, that's your wife.
Cause all the money's gone, the money spent. You're down in your uncle's creepy basement, rolling the dice, hoping for luck. Trying to hope one day you'll get fucked, because now you can't talk to the ladies or boys, but you are a person that likes the toys.
Back in the day, when words were words, and you would get bullied and they'd call you nerds, you would pull out the campaign. That was that, and facts was facts. Praise the Gary Guy Gax, sitting with everybody trying to play, and everybody'd make fun of you every day. Except now, yeah, your resolve is hardened. Take that motherfucker at Madison Square Garden. The man is playing, and crowds they assemble. This is something, and the heavens will tremble. You and your 7 intrepid friends, you're playing, and now it's reaping dividends. My phone is ringing. What the hell? This day has gone something so well. We're sitting with the dude and have no fear. I didn't play D&D, I played Star Frontiers, but I digress. We'll just go back, and you're our guest, and that is that.
There's your theme song.
Wow. I really love the space that was made, not only for my love for my wife and role-playing games, but also the little detour into the use of sexual toys. And
Yes.
I really,
Sexual toys.
we really hit, I think we hit it all.
All demos. All demos.
All demos.
Which all involve role play.
Yes, it's true. It's true. By the way, true story, my wife, Isabella Rowland, we have an improv show, a true long-form improv show that we travel with called Bigger, that is also performing in Seattle and performing in Las Vegas.
And here too.
Here too. Yeah, we do shows here in Los Angeles, and that is such a joy. We just played the Wiltern, and it was a joy. But you're absolutely right. So like post, I started playing D&D when I was 10, but then ended up doing performance at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. I've been doing improv for a long time. And what a joy. So and of course, watching, Whose Line Is It Anyway, since youth, since a tender age. And it was a joy and a privilege and bizarre to marry those worlds together, where you're like, oh, if we get improvisers and comedians playing D&D, I think this is a show. I think this is something that people would want to watch. And lo and behold, it is so. Thank you for the theme song so much.
Who was the first people or group that said, I think other people will watch us do this in mass? Was it Critical Role? Was it Harmontown? Like, who was the first?
There are a ton of them. I think technically, and this is where I wish that I had Dr. Emily Friedman here, who's a professor who studies the history of actual play as a medium. We're a new art form. We have our first professor. We have our first academic who's actually charting the rise of it. Critical Role, Harmon Quest, absolutely the Adventure Zone in podcasting. But I think Acquisitions Incorporated is actually the one of the earliest, who had a long running show. There were experiments, and there were lots of other people who. What we started to see as the advent of the art form is people that were already doing conversational podcasting, or some people that were already doing live shows or live comedy shows would do one-offs, would say like, well, for this thing, what if we played a role-playing game? I think Acquisitions Incorporated is the first one that's like, no, this is the show. We're going to, week after week, we're going to come back here. We're going to play this game for an audience. But it's wild. And then I got hired at College Humor. And as they were launching this platform, Dropout, which we've been lucky enough to have Wayne on Make Some Noise, and we essentially like developed this show at this time where we were going, how do we take this like sketch writing collective and make long form content, make something that's going to actually make people want to come behind the paywall, so to speak. And Actual Play just stood out as this is a format that we already see working, and doing it with comedians, improvisers, sketch comedians feels like the next logical step for creating something that's going to be captivating for people. And we found that it's it works. People like storytelling. They like narrative. They like comedians. They like improv.
It's a no-brainer to me. In fact, I'll even say like when you said to see the two go together, they go together because that's what it is in my mind. D&D is improvisation.
Yeah.
That just, no matter if you're a comedian doing it on stage or if you're the kid that you pick it up at 10, it demands of you imagination, role play, a sense of story. Any of my friends that when I was a kid, the kid that wanted to be the dungeon master, they were the ones who had the best. They were probably the best or organized. Yeah. So they'd grow up to be a showrunner or a head writer. It goes hand in hand. That's what it is. It's the purest. It's one of the purest forms of improv.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone's ever done an improv show. They probably have, where it's like a long form show, and as soon as someone has an offer, like I'm gonna go to the office and tell the boss I quit. Okay, well, someone rolls. Like, so you're rolling on your offers. So you're taking out the fantasy, but you're putting in the chance to things happening in the improv.
So basically, new choice, kind of.
Well, yeah. I guess if it fails, then you'd have to come up with a new choice.
There's a big moment of like that idea of improv, and like you're improvising not only with the other improvisers at the table, you're also improvising with these tiny little plastic polyhedral dice. And that's really intoxicating because the thing that feels thrilling about this medium is that one of your most important collaborators does not care about you, which is very different from improv, where you want each other to succeed. Right. But there's these little dice that are like, nah, man, I'll kill your character. I don't give a fuck. I'm plastic. I can't care about you.
That's a t-shirt. I'll kill your character. Fuck it, I'm plastic.
Fuck it, I'm plastic. I don't give a shit, man. It's intoxicating. It's really gripping. And it's really wonderful. Not to get too in you let me know if we get too into the improv craft.
No,
weeds.
This is your talk, please.
It's really intoxicating. So within the UCB style, that was like how I was trained and came up in. One of the things they tell you, which I think is also often a part of like a lot of short form games where you have that structure built in. It's like, we're not here to follow plot. We're not here to tell a story. We're here to deliver on this premise. We're here to find a comedic game. We're here to beat that out. And that's a really good training regimen, and it produces really skilled comedians. And it's wild to take people that have those muscles really developed and then go back to storytelling, which is like so deep in our DNA. It's so in there, even just from childhood. And it's a wild thing because, you know, the hardest part about, I feel like, an improv show is always that stage wipe, that edit, or like new game, back to zero, build up a new premise again. And the thing that's so invigorating about D&D that I think improvisers tend to fall in love with is they go, oh, we never have to reset back to zero. If the bit ends, we're back in the story. In other words, you take a rest from whatever, that you have a funny scene with an innkeeper or a tavern owner or whatever, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, we don't have to reset to zero. We reset to the plot.
The story, yeah,
we reset to, great, and we're here trying to find this gem. We're here trying to like get to the bottom of this dungeon, whatever. And it enables you to kind of trade back and forth between following the laugh in a given scene and then come back and following the story. And I think that a lot of improvisers have found that really helpful when they get into this kind of medium.
I love that.
Definitely. And it's, the good ones know too when the bit should end.
Yes.
Like, okay, we've done this bit for a while and there's this pull back to the story. And if the good ones are like, yeah, now it's time to go back to the story.
Totally.
Some others will go on a little too long. Like, yes, we get that you made a reference about Target and Home Depot and that doesn't exist in this world, but you can stop that now because the bit is over.
Isn't that Bard, price check?
No. Okay,
I'm
that's
so
a
clever.
good one.
I'm so clever.
Yeah.
Price check.
Oh, no. Oh, we're going to rule for wandering assholes and that'll be you.
It's really tough. There's a lot of like fantasy, like the Adventure Zone literally had fantasy Costco where all your dreams come true. And there's a lot of bits within that. And you see, it's tough. One of my players, Allie Beardsley, who I joke with all the time, can't stop referencing mid-2000s cultural touchstones.
Yeah.
We did a show at the Hollywood Bowl 2 nights ago, and Austin Powers figured in a huge way. And then I have to look and be like, for all of our like 20-year-old fans out here in the crowd, Austin Powers was a movie.
Now, do you have to justify that with like a time, or is it just that Austin Powers is the name of an adventurer who happens to have these traits?
Sometimes you end up having to justify it. Sometimes you're like, there's literally no way I can make this work. I think my players sometimes go for breaking me. They want to see a grown man cry on stage, where I go like, and also as a producer of the show, so it's like we're doing bits, and then I'm like, there is no way we can survive the litigation if we make this stone if this gargoyle is actually going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, we will not survive the lawsuit coming our way. I have to say no to this offer.
Yep.
That's great. Because you don't think about those things because if you were a kid and you're just playing down in the basement, yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin can just happen and it's fine.
I'm also too trusting. So it took me years. Lou Wilson, one of our incredible cast members who's amazing, and you know, I perform with an improv team called the House of Gains. We do 2-man improv together. He's phenomenal. His very first D&D character he played with me was a half-orc barbarian called Kendrick Lamar. And it took me it took me so long. And eventually after I was like, Kendrick, you look to the horizon, tears brimming at your eyes. As the village burns behind you, vengeance will be yours. And after that one, he was like, I named this character after Kendrick Lamar. And I went, God damn it. I put so much mustard on your hero's arc for you to be a Kendrick Lamar joke.
He perfectly hit it for you.
The other warriors are not like us. They are not like us. They are not like us.
If you hadn't ended up in entertainment and improv and D&D, like what do you think you would have been doing? Like what kind of, and do you remember where that path was where you had to choose?
I was an improv teacher for many years. I love being a teacher. I hope one day I'm a teacher again. I think that, you know, you live many lifetimes, and I can see myself as a very happy old man teaching somewhere. I went to school for philosophy. And I would love to go back to doing that someday. It's very funny because it's like a punchline of a degree that you like don't end up using. I put that degree to work every goddamn day. It's like, you know, because if you have to improvise hundreds of hours of storytelling, having some facility with like what stuff means and what stuff is about is a nice way to be like, all right, let's reach in the top hat and pull out some kind of ethical philosophy for this randomly generated ogre. Totally.
That's always a punchline when someone goes, oh, and he's got a degree in philosophy. But I'm very interested. What does that really mean? That when you have a degree in philosophy, because the job for philosopher really doesn't exist unless you move it over. Like in History of the World Part 1, I remember the scene when B. Arthur was saying when Mel Brooks said that he was a stand-up philosopher or something. And she said, oh, bullshitter. He's like, no. Do you move that philosophy degree over to improvisation or to stand-up because you must know how the world works or question things, and that can give you an outlook? What is that degree, the purpose of it when you enter into it?
This is a funny story. I went to a school called SUNY Ulster. It was the year I went was like the first year it had joined the SUNY system in New York, and I went when I was 14 with my brother, who was also 14.
So you were in college at 14?
We were in college at 14.
Is this a twin brother because you're both 14?
We are not biologically related.
Okay.
And he's bragging again. He's bragging.
This guy's got non-biological siblings. La-di-da. So we went, the degree that we got associate's degrees in the humanities, and we studied with a professor named Tom Davis, who's sadly no longer with us, but was an incredible professor. And we studied comparative religions and the philosophy of Eastern and Western religion. And we studied, had a survey course that we started when we were 14. If you can imagine anything more annoying than a 14-year-old in a philosophy class being like, I know how the world works.
Why?
The real thing that I think we focused on in that time there, and I've continued to focus on since then, is usually the domain of ethics within philosophy, which is sort of like, how should you behave? That's like Kant's categorical imperative, which is basically a secular philosophical version of the golden rule, right? In the categorical imperative is take no action which you would wish not to be taken as a general rule of action for all people. So if you don't do something that you wouldn't want everybody to do, so it's like you want to cut in line, but you don't want everybody to be doing that all the time, so don't do that, right? And it's really useful, I think, for the purpose of like, I don't know, it's been when you're doing a lot of improvisational storytelling, the useful thing about that period of my life and studying at SUNY Ulster has been having a bedrock of stuff you feel like matters to talk about. Because if someone's like, I'm going to need you to talk for 2 hours, you're like, shit, I better have something to say, because that's what these episodes normally are.
Brennan and Brennan's brother. I didn't catch your name. Brennan's brother.
My name is
Griffin. I'm the substitute philosophy teacher today. I don't really know much about this, but if you want to show me what you've been learning so far, I can probably assist as a substitute teacher.
I'll let my brother. He's the one that likes this class.
Now, are you twins? You both look.
We are non-biological twins.
Let me write that down in my notebook here. That'll be handy later.
It's absolutely true. We were not carried in the same pregnancy, and we don't have the same mother or father.
Interesting.
But we are twins.
But we were born in the same year.
Yeah.
So that makes us twins. We are proximity twins.
PTs.
As you call them in this class that I don't like.
You have to put your heart into it. We're learning about how to be and how to feel. This is the big questions, man. You gotta give it a chance.
You're the one that wants to ask the big questions. You know what? The only one thing that I've wanted to do my entire life, I tell you every day,
every day you tell me I am interested in living an unexamined life.
Exactly. I don't want to be examined.
You're both way over my head in this. I'm just going to sit here and listen for the rest of
Hey,
it.
are those prison tattoos?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, this is a lacrosse stick.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in the Women's Lacrosse Prison League. I was their coach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
If I were to ask you a pointed philosophical question, I want to get my brother invested. I
Yeah.
want him to tap in.
I'm so never going
I
to be
want him to
invested
tap in,
philosophy.
and I can see that he's interested in your tattoos, and you have real life experience that's gonna translate for him.
Yes.
So just real quick,
Yes.
in your own words, maybe like a top line, 1 or 2 sentences.
Sure.
If there exists an all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing God,
Yes.
whence evil?
Oh, I first have to look up the definition of whence. That's not a word that whence. This is a small pocket dictionary I keep in my back pocket of my shorts. So you're saying that if there is an all-powerful God, why is there evil? Is
Why?
that
Yeah, from where?
From where? Well, that's a good question. I believe that evil comes from that same God. Wait, a contradiction. Look what you've done to me.
Hold on.
I quit. I can't teach something I don't believe in.
And the fact that he doesn't believe in it, it spurred my interest. I want to find out that answer. I've transitioned into a believer.
Wow.
Aha, gotcha, see?
Oh.
I'm actually pull my mask off for those just listening. I'm actually the real Tom
Davis.
and I wore a
Davis.
mask to lure you into the wonders of philosophy.
Is that tattoo real?
Yes, the tattoo's real. It's not a lacrosse stick. It's just a butterfly catcher with a tiny net. So I did lie about that part. Because I can't tell part truths and part lies. I'm either all lying or all telling the truth. That's an advanced lesson you'll get to. Nihilism.
And that's how you and your brother
There you go.
fell in love with philosophy.
Philosophy Professor Davis, he loved to catch those very small butterflies. Yeah.
God bless him.
God bless him.
Teeny tiny monarchs up the left leg.
On the left leg. Exactly.
Oh, man.
He actually did, it's a funny pull. He actually did work teaching philosophy to inmates.
Oh, wow.
He did, it was as part of like a continuing education in prison. And it was, I think, a really rewarding, he loved that work. Yeah.
That makes complete sense. Because if you are an inmate, depending on your mind state, you're actually in a perfect place to learn.
It's a really incredible thing, both that education. You know what else? There's an incredible article about inmates playing D&D.
I was just going to ask about that.
Yes, I forget where it came. It might have been the New York Times or somewhere else like that. But it was an incredible thing about like playing Dungeons and Dragons as a means of like both finding community and building skills. There's a lot of it too of like, I don't know, the in a way that was really beautiful and moving, of using fantasy to escape, like to create a horizon that is not available to you in an incarcerated state, to be like, yeah, like I'm not going to be in a mental prison as well while I am in this physical, cell.
What if you used D&D as a method to plan your escape as you're in?
There is a lot of like graph paper and dungeons and a lot
that'd
of
be amazing. Hey, Tyreek.
Yes.
And Mr. Maelstrom.
Yes, I am Mr. Maelstrom.
I'm Tyreek. I'm just a normal white guy with a name that is unexpected.
What if we play some, D&D? I just happen to have this map that is an exact map of the penitentiary.
Highly unusual, but as your guest dungeon master for the day, I'd be happy to run this for you. Now, within this penitentiary is too modern of a word. We will call this the Dungeon of Faldrang.
Yeah,
Faldrang.
Yeah. That's hot.
It's a combination of philosophy and
drank. Man,
I love drank.
Man,
when I'm thirsty,
so much drank.
so much drank.
Within Faldrank, you find yourself here in the corridor at, what is this? Is it an elven word? Selblakdi. Within
Selblakdi.
Within Selblakdi, you find yourselves here at the opening of the chamber. What is in your inventory, if I may ask? What magical artifacts do you carry with you?
I have a small end of a toothbrush that's been shaved into a rigid key shape.
Sounds like that does about 1d4 damage.
Okay,
Very
good.
well.
And I have cigarettes that I killed a man for.
Ooh,
A torch.
Cigarettes haunted by the life taken. By the way, that man, how big was he? Would you say he was very strong or very weak?
Oh, he's about 6'3" in the Aryan Brotherhood.
Oh, a neo-Nazi. Take 50 experience points.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, your cigarettes and your sharpened toothbrush,
Yes.
which we'll use the elven word to go, a sheave.
Ooh, a sheave. I like this.
At the end of cell block D, you find yourself inching forwards towards a locked gate. You have your cigarettes and your sheave. At the edge, a orcish guard snores, having fallen asleep in a three-legged stool. His magical brooch with his name and identification number.
Ooh. That's C.O. Fitzsimmons.
I'd like to use my soft socks and sneak up silently behind him.
Very well. Roll for stealth with your socks of softness.
5.
Unfortunately, you have stepped in a puddle of urine.
Sorry about that.
You just peed right now? Did you see I was sneaking up? Why'd you have to pee?
Because that was my strategy. I was trying to distract him.
We have to coordinate our strategies.
Unfortunately, the wet slapping of your piss-soaked socks.
No.
Awakens C.O. Fitzsimmons. What's that? What's that I hear? Are there elven inmates creeping towards this locked gate? Wheeling around, the C.O. beholds both of you. Roll initiative!
I'm rolling.
What did you get on your die?
9.
What did you get?
11.
We roll. C.O. Fitzsimmons is a natural 1! He will go after both of you. You may act first in combat.
I'm taking off my t-shirt and I'm gonna strangle his ass.
Very well. Your t-shirt rolling around over his neck. Go ahead. Roll your attack roll. Natural 20! A critical hit. Your t-shirt rolls around the guard's throat and you pull tightly. He passes into unconsciousness, leaving a dangling keychain within arm's reach. Tariq, it's your turn.
I'm gonna grab the keys and open the front door to the what was it called?
Cell block D. All right. Opening the door. You have secured your escape from Cell Block D.
Wow. That was pretty easy.
And that same game was played by 9 inmates in Louisiana.
Yes, 4 of them escaped.
That actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, the skills that you would take to run a successful campaign, that's what successful criminals would do. Or I think even in business, isn't that what we should do before we go into a high stress situation? Maybe play it out.
There are the applications, right, of like tabletop role playing games. The people I know that have run games have ended up in the most farthest afield like professions using those skill sets. But like, you know, wargaming is a real thing. Troubleshooting is a real thing. The idea of like being able to play things out, to map out possible consequences. And I think for myself too, like the skills that you really learn from doing these games, yes, there's theater. Yes, there's role playing and there's acting and there's doing bits together and being in this shared space. But honestly, the ability to like follow through with a plan and troubleshoot and problem solve together. And the thing that like every role-playing group learns really quickly, which is we are going to be in shit over our heads if we don't have a plan. And also no plan will go off unchanged.
Right.
So that combination of like having the steps laid out in front of you and going like, and by the way, somewhere between point A and point Z, we're going to be off the map. But we will still be screwed if we don't have some kind of plan going into this. What's the old, like, I think it might be Patton or somebody who was like, plans are useless, planning is essential.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Which is a great, especially for improvisers, is like a great sort of like lodestar.
It was fun just in that little improv, the D&D improv, in the same way that like you learn to like sing in improv, where if we're singing an improvised song, on our way to the punchline, we know how to keep singing words, like that you learn how to keep. And so it was so fun to watch you talk in the D&D language, like with no pauses, because you've done it so long for so well, so you know all the ways to like, because if you asked me to do that, I'd be like, you I would stop and have to think of metaphors, but you've done so much of that it just comes out in this amazing way.
It's really fun. We my wife and I are making a point to speak more Spanish at home. Both of us can speak Spanish, and I've thought about running a game of D&D in Spanish. And the truth is, I don't have the vocabulary of bullshit Shakespearean stuff that I have in English.
Yes,
like I can get by with like a very stumbling degree of fluency in Spanish, but the idea of being like, en el castillo oscuro hay un mago terrible con un dragón muy malo. You know, you're like, okay, a dark wizard and a very bad dragon. This is like real.
It sounded beautiful, though. I have to say,
awesome. Watching you even just run our silly little improvised thing just then made me remember when I fell in love with D&D. I used to get carpool to I think this was in junior high school every day, and there was a kid named James that he was our dungeon master, and we would play like a 2 to 3 person campaign every morning on the way to school. It was him, myself, and his sister. But we were kind of broke, so he had to just make up, and we didn't have dice all the time, so we were really just not even using the randomness of the die. He was just taking our word on certain numbers that we would just come up with. And so even just listening to you do that took me back to listening to him have to make stuff up on the fly, and just hammering home that's improv. That's the root. That's like fun, just good old-fashioned play.
Well, it's a really funny thing too, because D&D has so many rules. There's books upon books upon books. The cool thing about it for people that are considering playing is that like 95% of the rules are optional, meaning like the monster manual is hundreds of pages of monster stat blocks, most of which you'll never fight. So it's like you don't have to memorize every square inch of every rule of the game. But the other funny part about it is I find myself drawn towards that, like lots of rules, lots of what we call crunch, or give me nothing, pure improv, pure role playing. We used to do freeform role playing, which was essentially tabletop with no rules, where it is just improvising, right? And you're sort of like, you find these lanes where you're like, okay, I'm kind of responsible for this character, but it's not about creating like obstacles or puzzles to solve. It's actually just about like us collaboratively telling this story. Bizarre story that was like, I think one of the most telling moments of my life. We were playing a game I think we were playing D&D when I was growing up I grew up in New York, upstate, and partially the city. And we were in Kingston, New York as teenagers, and there's not a lot of places to hang out late at night when you're a teenager, because it's like the places shut down. Where do you go if you're trying to like play some role playing with your friends and no one's like gotten permission to have a sleepover or whatever? So you're just like, we ended up in a weird industrial parking lot of this shut down factory, playing at like 1 o'clock in the morning on a median strip of grass, and we see pulling into the parking lot this cop car. It's like whoop whoop. This cop comes up and is like, "What are you guys doing out here?" And we look and I'm like, "Role-playing games, officer." And explained this thing to him. No alcohol, no drugs in sight. This guy, we can see judgment on this cop's face of him being like
you're worse than people actually drinking.
Like, right. I would prefer that you guys, I would really prefer to see some 40s and some fucking weed out here. This is lame. What I'm seeing is lame. And we were like, we don't have anywhere to do our role-playing games. And I watched this guy fold his arms and go on the radio and be like, guys, we got some youths out here trying to play role-playing game. Is there a place that we think we could park these guys? And straight up, he went, "You guys go do this in the parking lot of the Kings Valley Mall, because this is a private property and that parking lot is public, and we'll be able to roll by." It's like, "How long you guys think you're gonna be playing?" We're like, "We sometimes play till sunrise." And he was like, "Wow, okay, yeah. Move it on over here. That's crazy that you guys do this." He's like, "I didn't know what this was about, and this is more hardcore than I thought it was."
You
What
cast
a nice
charm
officer.
person.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Charm person.
Yeah, you cast charm person.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's the power of role play.
Yeah. Did you open your birthday present yet I gave you?
Birthday present.
Yeah.
No, what'd you get me?
All the 5 ebooks, man.
What?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I expected you to open them and read them before today's podcast because
No,
of our
because the
guest, but
party
that's
was
fine.
last night.
I know.
That's all. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
You know what this it's too far afield to really dig into, but part of what I was excited to talk to you about and to listen to your process, because I knew that you taught and you also know a lot of the in the weeds about improvisation and our art form is something that I've always talked about when I've taught as an adjunct professor at USC.
Here he goes.
Is I love looking at the art of improvisation and fantasy and storytelling, and just from my personal experience as a Black kid, and now knowing a lot of other Black improvisers, is when I hear you talk about your experience with D&D and role playing.
Yeah.
But then I talk to other Black improvisers like Sam.
Sam Richardson?
Sam Richardson,
Yeah.
brilliant. I love him, and like Jordan Black and a lot of other guys. The thing that we have in common is it costs nothing to tell a story.
Yeah.
So even if you grow up in a neighborhood that you don't have a lot of things at your disposal, it costs nothing to use your imagination. It costs nothing to tell a story. And so when I listen to you talk about D&D or we talk about improvisation, I love how no matter where we come from, at some point we all end up speaking the same language.
It's really, that's so beautiful. And I think too that there's what I've seen in playing with a lot of people that like, you know, we did this season of Dimension 20 called The Unsleeping City, which was magic New York, right? So, you know, like kind of like urban fantasy where there's like a secret world of magic hidden away from where people can see. And, you know, we had Lou Wilson, who again is like, you know, one of my favorite people on the planet. He officiated my wedding in real life. I love improvising with him. His character in The Unsleeping City was a 55-year-old Harlem ER nurse named Kingston Brown, who secretly had this magical identity as the Vox Populi, which meant he was the voice of New York.
The voice of the people.
Voice of the people. And so he had this healing magic, and we described like when he crossed the street, he was so in rhythm with the heartbeat of the city that anytime he stepped to the curb wanting to go somewhere, a bus just pulled up. That it was like he had the entire infrastructure of the city beat in rhythm with his life and the magic that he wielded. He could heal people. He could like touch, you know, in one fight he like touched the third rail of the subway and threw a lightning bolt at someone. And Allie Beardsley, who is a trans cast member of the show as well, played a trans drug dealing Brooklyn sorcerer who was the Vox Phantasma that was the voice of dreaming. And they were like these complementary magicians. And you're like,
that's cool.
So in terms of, you're talking about like, not only is storytelling free, but what a lot of people have realized with these games is some giant mega corporation going to put serious money giving me a story with an older Black man as the voice of the people of New York and a young trans drug dealer as this like dreaming surrealist sorcerer? Or can I just tell that story right now with my friends and see the kind of characters that I don't get to see in other places and tell them fully from the heart? That kind of effortlessness to go, me and my friends can tell exactly the story we need to hear for each other is, I think, a part of these games that is powerful in a way that a lot of people have slept on. Because, you know, it's wizards and trolls and stuff like that until suddenly it's more than that. And I think it's really special.
And people, you know, like you said, would people give you the money to do that? No, but as you do it, people now give you the money.
Right. And you can see in like the adaptations we want to do, and we can, and you see this thing where, and this is I think something very cool about the era we're living in. Look, the internet has brought a lot of like chaos and strife with it, but also there are moments in which you can see that, if you remember this, I've been talking about this a lot recently. You remember this term that was around a lot in media conversations back in the 90s, which was lowest common denominator.
Of course.
You'd hear lowest common denominator, right? What has happened in this weird way, we saw this at Madison Square Garden when we showed up there, and the staff and crew, they're looking at their schedule and they're like, okay, it's the Knicks, it's the Rangers, it's Billy Joel. What the fuck is this, Dimension 20? And our fans showed up and the lines for merch and all this shit, and they go, who the fuck are you guys? Like, in terms of the internet creates these media silos where things grow in the dark. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hugely.
And by the way, that's not unique to us. I looked at the schedule for Madison Square Garden and I'm like, yeah, here's this like indie band from Australia that had a huge following on YouTube. And here's this other thing that had this. It has done a weird thing to fame and celebrity where even, I remember the first time getting spotted on the street and my dad was like, are you famous now? And I was like, in a way you wouldn't recognize from earlier media formats. It's not that 1 in 5 people know who I am. That's not the case. But 1 in 40 people really fucking know who I am. It's like, it's that
That's
thing.
a good way to put it.
Right? Like it's this thing, because with Dimension 20 and with these stories we're talking about that mean so much to people, the internet has meant you don't have to settle. You don't have to go onto a network show and watch the thing that needs to have an audience of 20 million people. You can go to the internet and find that thing that 500,000 people go, this is my shit. This is my favorite.
And they watch it religiously. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And in that weird way, the material conditions of making art and making media means you're no longer trying to make something that is broadly palatable to the hugest number of people possible. You're trying to make something really special for a smaller group of people that can sustain you and sustain your collaborators.
Make it for your people.
Make it for your people.
I love that. Man, this is going by way too fast.
I know. We sometimes we'll do a lot of improv, and sometimes we'll just if our guest is so interesting and we just talk, and so we didn't do that much improv, but I loved every second of talking to you, man.
Oh, hey, thanks,
And
man.
we've been able now to talk to various people in the landscape of improv, and part of this I think is just showing people that when they think improv, those early adopters who are improv fans who maybe their entry into improv was the old Who's Line, like on Comedy Central, or it was my version that came along, or maybe it's Wild and Out on TV or some of the other things. Improv looks so different in so many ways. And so we talked to so many other people that have their own lane, and now to talk to you with what you do with your group and your form of storytelling. It's just so damn cool, and we're so happy for you.
Thank you, man. It's really wild to be here. It's a privilege and an honor, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to have me. It's crazy.
And maybe I could come and run a campaign with you, because some of the people that I consider my best friends, who I would consider
We're in the middle of it would be weird to just
my
suddenly-
biological twin, has never had me play. I'd love to come and play with you.
I bought you the books.
I'd love to, and we can play together on stage, and I would play a really cool bard with powers, and it would be so much fun.
What's your dream character, Wayne? I'll be happy to run a game for you. What's your dream character?
There are two.
Okay.
My dream character really is a paladin.
Beautiful. It's my favorite class.
Because I love to explore the issues of faith and kind of bring real life stuff in. And then really, I think I would love to run a campaign and play a bard, because I just think that a bard is it's such a, folks kind of dismiss a bard sometimes, but I think that I've never seen a powered bard, that I want to be a bard that could really turn around and beat your ass with his hands.
I'm gonna do this right now, and this is a hot take for the internet right here. This is it right here. Single class, no multi-classing, single subclass choice, pound for pound, Lore Bard is the strongest class in the game. Lore Bards whip ass.
Wow.
I think you are onto something here. I think you should get a high level Lore Bard rolled up, and I think they are unstoppable. Everyone gets fooled by the loot. They see the loot. They see the mandolin.
Right.
They think this guy's a clown. Wrong. You're about to get your ass stomped. It's about to fucking be. It's about to be biblical for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Wow. You see that?
You're a lore bard.
And what's your dream character?
I just, you know what? I really just love switching characters. I love going from all magic to all melee I just love completely changing it every time because it's a whole new, like, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do that. No, I can't. I have to wait a day for this and I have to learn this.
He has a lack of commitment.
Oh, lack of commitment. You want to be a paladin. Pick a lane, healing or damage. Jeez.
Wow. Calling out the entire paladin. Hashtag paladin. Get in the comments and let Jonathan know.
Oh, no.
Know how you feel, paladin community.
I've ruined it. I've ruined it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just had fun. I'm trying to think of a fun way to end it, but I think that we should just end it because we've gone on with such awesome conversation.
Aren't endings just beginnings in disguise?
That's the exact type of fantasy bullshit that you need to run a game of D&D. Isn't
my headphones fall off.
Every ending is just a beginning? Isn't every up just a down and every left a right? Magic.
And on that note, to all that are listening, we bid you adieu from the kingdom of What If with our special guest, Mr. Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Yeah.
Sorry, paladins.
Hooray, hurrah.
Yay.
That was a Headgum podcast.